even on days where I feel like I'm showing up and doing a pretty good job, I still catch myself wondering if it's actually enough. This is so far the only thing in the first 30, 40 minutes since Janelle's been gone. The only thing that prevents her from completely popping off. That's enough screen time for today. So lately, with being a new father and all the things that have popped up, since she was born 3 months ago, I realized that I don't have I shouldn't say I don't have a role model. To give a little backstory, my father left my mother when I was about 2 years old, and wasn't really in the picture at all for the rest of my life. So, I'd see him once or twice a year, that type of thing. And now today we don't have a relationship. So I didn't have a father to show me how to be a dad, whether show me what not to do or show me what to do. Now, you can easily make the case that because he wasn't in the picture that, hey, at the very least, if I show up and I'm present for my daughter, I'll be better, I'll be a better parent and role model than he was. And I do agree with that. But I also think there's something to be said for not having that example, just a complete absence of it, which can make trying to figure out what kind of father I want to be a little more difficult. And it wasn't until my closest friends started having their own kids where I got to see them at different ages and what kind of dad my friends were to them. As I said, I'm 47. Some of my best friends are right around my age, maybe a tiny bit older. And some of them have, 22-year-old sons who I held as babies. So it's to see the kids grow up, to see what kind of young men that they've become or adults that they've become. It's like, oh, okay, I want to like cherry pick, what this person does, what that person does. But all of that for me, just again, kind of giving you some context, I do think lends itself to me questioning, at least early on, am I doing enough? And kind of piggybacking off that, what does enough look like? And I'm going to check in with Janelle later, as I have been doing in these videos, because I want her to weigh in on what she sees and her point of view. But I'm making this because I do think it's kind of natural to have doubts, especially, growing up the way I did. But I'm making this to almost, I guess, give myself permission, like it's okay to wonder. It's okay to ask the question. It's okay to have that doubt. But I think that if I can, just like meditation, they say every time you're focused on your breathing, when your mind starts to race, refocus on your breathing. And the idea is you're just training your mind to get back on track. And there's not perfection there. And I feel like when I have these days or these moments where I'm like, am I enough? Am I doing enough? It does help to kind of like take a deep breath and remember that, being a father isn't going to be in one day. And I think that if I take anything away from asking this question or having this thought about being enough is popping up into my mind, it's that I'm not going to know right away. And similar to, let's say, going to the gym, right? You want to lose a bunch of weight or you want to build some muscle or something, like you're not transforming your body in one workout. You're not doing it in 10. You might not even be doing it in 100. But you work at something for a couple years or, 6 months, 12 months, longer, and you start building those habits and you show up more days than you don't. I think that's what's going to make a difference. And then you just happen to, one day you realize, because this has happened to me, one day, you get out of the shower, whatever, you're feeling yourself, you're looking pretty good, and you're like, oh, holy shit, wow. I haven't felt that way in a long time, but just giving you an example. But I'm comforted by the idea or the fact that when I look at my closest friends and I see the children that they've raised and the adults that those children have become, it gives me a lot of hope and joy to know that, back off the pressure a little bit. Yesterday was a good example. It was only the second time I was home alone with my daughter, and she was a sweet angel, and I'll show you that right here. I think she's getting tired. I don't know if it would even, if I'm qualified enough to answer this, but I think she's getting tired. Oh yeah, eyes are heavy. Probably my voice, just like Janelle. Boring, puts her to sleep. And she's out. I guess I am doing enough. For about 25 minutes, and then it was about 60 to 70 straight minutes of Janelle and I call it popping off. I mean, she was really popping off to the point where it just borderline screaming for a little over an hour straight, until through exhaustion, she just kind of passed out in my arms. And I went upstairs into our bedroom and just put one leg on the bed and kind of sat super uncomfortable waiting for Janelle to get home. And I can tell you definitively, I tried everything that I've seen work to get her to soothe and to calm down a little bit, and none of it worked. So yes, I literally, and to be honest, this happened to me yesterday. While this was happening, it wasn't like I was sitting there going, oh God, this is hard. It was the psychological almost toll, if you will, that I wasn't able to comfort and soothe my daughter. So then it brings up all this stuff like, what am I doing wrong? Am I doing enough? Should I just be patient? Oh wait, am I being too patient? And now she's just screaming. What do I need to do? And it was very interesting that in the middle of this, probably about 30 minutes into this, tantrum, I guess, or this meltdown, I was thinking to myself, like, how can I make videos about this? How can I even have a YouTube channel, for example, and share this? And it's like, then I realized, okay, take a deep breath. And then the second she passed out in my arms, it's almost like all is forgotten. But getting back to that, I 100% was sitting there that entire time going, am I enough? Am I doing enough? Am I good at this? And I think that just moving forward, like the next day, like keep it moving, take the lessons from yesterday, take that experience, remember it. Also understanding that every month our daughter's going to change, and what works, month 3 is probably not going to work in month 5, and so on and so on. So, let's check in with Janelle. I want to see what her thoughts are on, what's enough, and am I doing enough or doing what I can? Because I know for me, just, one last thing before I give it over to her. For me, when I notice other little kids now, like Janelle's niece, who's 4, great kid, and just like any other kid, my godsons, anybody else that I've been around, there are moments now where I'm like, oh, okay, well, this little girl or little boy kind of does this, and I don't really love the fact that they don't, I don't know, sit at the table and finish dinner with the family, or that the family doesn't make them answer a stranger when they ask a question. These little things that I'm just like filing away. And I think that's where wondering if I'm doing enough starts to weigh on me, because I start to want to do all these things and plant these seeds and build these routines now. And I think with some of it, you can get into best practices and you can do that. But I'm discovering very quickly that there's almost only so much you can do in a day. Like I said, you're not going to be a good parent in one day. I think it's just showing up more days than you don't, doing your best more days than you don't. I'm just guessing. My daughter's only 3 months old. So if you're out there, you're probably like, oh, this guy's totally in for it. All right. What's Janelle have to say?
I think you're doing as much as you possibly can right now at her age. You play, you change diapers, fix a bottle, and that's all you really need to do. You love her up in the morning, before work, after work, if she's awake. And that's really all you need to do.
What about the stuff that might impact her as a young lady?
I think that won't come into play until she's older. When they're a little more mobile, when they start talking more and understanding more. Everything before that, I feel like you can't really, it's more just schedule wise. Oh, mama. Okay. We're done, baby.